Good morning and welcome to the Mobile Device Manager Plus training program. My name is Nirmit and I will be your trainer for today. I hope I'm audible and that you're able to view the presentation clearly. Please confirm by commenting on chat. If at any point during this training you have queries regarding any of the features that are being discussed, feel free to post them on chat. We have a panel of experts who are on standby ready to answer all of your queries. This 2-week training program has been designed to help you better understand the features and benefits of Mobile Device Manager Plus. In week 1 of the training, we discussed device enrollment and provisioning, where we covered features such as the different types of enrollment methods available and how you can push your corporate configurations such as your Wi-Fi, VPN, and email configurations onto your managed mobile devices. If in case you missed out on this training session, you can view a recording of it by accessing the link given below. In today's session, we will be dealing with application management and security. So without any further ado, let's take a quick look at the agenda for today. We will be starting off with an overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus, understanding the product architecture and its prerequisites, before moving on to application management, where we will cover the entire app lifecycle management process. We will then move on to the kiosk mode, where you will learn how you can lock your corporate devices to specific apps, before moving on to features such as tracking and remote troubleshooting your corporate devices that will help you securely distribute your corporate documents onto mobile devices, protect your corporate data, and ensure compliance. We will then move on to device security, where we will discuss the various device protection policies available in case one of your devices gets misplaced or stolen. After this, we will discuss a few scenarios and solutions before taking on a few questions that were asked during the course of this webinar. Let's kick things off with the overview of Mobile Device Manager Plus. Mobile Device Manager Plus offers support for phones and tablets across iOS, Android, and Windows operating systems. It is available as a standalone product, available both on-premises and on cloud. It is also available as an add-on for the on-premises version of ManageEngine Desktop Central, which is a complete endpoint management solution from ManageEngine. Here's the Mobile Device Manager Plus architecture. It has 3 major components: the server, the push notification services, and the devices that need to be managed. Now, the server contacts the push notification services in order to wake up these devices. The devices then get in touch with the server for further instructions. Since the devices that are being managed are mobile, you need to ensure that your MDM server is reachable at all times. In order to do that, you can NAT a public IP to the private IP of your MDM server. If in case you're worried about security and you do not wish to expose your MDM server to the internet, MDM provides you with an option where you can configure a forwarding server. This forwarding server will act as an intermediary between your MDM server and the internet. You needn't worry about this if you're using the cloud version of the product. As discussed earlier, there is a lot of communication that happens between the mobile devices, the MDM server, and the push notification services. Now, to ensure secure and fast communication between all of these major components, here is a list of ports that need to be kept open at all times. For example, for secure communication between the device and the Mobile Device Manager Plus server, the inbound port 9383 needs to be opened. It's important to note that some of these ports are applicable only for the on-premises version of the product. How does MDM manage these devices? In case of iOS and Windows devices, MDM leverages the native client present in them to manage these devices effectively. And in the case of Android devices, you need to download the MeMDM app in order to manage your Android devices. Now let's take a snapshot at the product UI. Log into your MDM server with your credentials and click on the Home tab. Over here, you will find all the basic details such as the devices that are currently in your organization, the types of devices, the platforms to which the devices belong to, and also whether these devices belong to your organization or whether it is owned by your end user. Apart from this, you also get a summary of all the apps on your IT environment. Move over to the Device Management tab, and over here, you will explore features such as Profile Management, Application Management, Remote Troubleshooting your devices, Content Management, Conditional Exchange Access, and Logs. Click on the Inventory tab, and over here, you will get details regarding all the devices in your organization, including the various device protection policies available. You can also choose to do geo-tracking as well as scan your devices regularly. Move over to the Enrollment tab, and you will find a list of all the different types of enrollment methods available across iOS, Android, and Windows operating systems. Select the Reports tab, and you will find a list of predefined reports in MDM, and also you can configure your own custom reports. Move over to the Admin tab to configure settings such as your NAT, proxy, mail server, your DB settings, as well as your inventory settings. And under the Support tab, you will find links to all the resources available to your knowledge base, FAQs, and how-tos. Apart from this, you also get links to your community forums and blogs. Now, let's move on to our next segment, which is application management. We will start things off by learning how you can install and manage your business apps using Mobile Device Manager Plus. Organizations around the world have embraced the growing reliance on mobile apps by its employees to manage activity. This puts the onus on the IT admin to ensure that the right apps are made available to the right devices while also ensuring that these apps are constantly updated. This process can become a little complicated, especially with organizations dealing with a multi-cloud environment. Multitude of for free, pushing these apps to the managed devices and having these apps installed on them. Now you can add both your store apps as well as your enterprise apps on the MDM server's app repository. Store apps are those apps which are available on public download, or rather for public download on the respective stores. And enterprise apps are those in-house apps which are specific to your organization. Using the MDM server, you can push both of these apps onto the managed mobile devices. And as far as the installation process is concerned, MDM takes care of the installation of enterprise apps, and for store apps, the installation is carried out by the respective stores. Now let us see how you can manually add an app to your MDM server's app repository and have this app distributed and installed onto your managed devices. To do that, go back to your MDM server and click on Device Management. Now select App Repository. And to add an app, click on the Add App drop-down. For this example, let us choose to add an App Store app. Case is going to be Zoho Creator. As you can see, MDM contacts the App Store to get details regarding this particular app. In order to facilitate this, you need to whitelist App Store on your corporate firewall. Click on the app, and the bundle identifier and the Apple Store ID are automatically filled. If in case you're not based out of the United States, you can choose to change the region by clicking on the Change Region option over here and selecting the region to which you belong to. Once you've done all of this, here are a couple of app policies that you need to pay close attention to. This app is going to be distributed to your end user's devices. And if you want to ensure that this app is automatically removed from the end user's device once the device becomes unmanaged, select the option Remove App on MDM Profile Removal. Also, if you want to ensure that there is no backup of app data anywhere except on the device, select the option Restrict Backup for app data. Apart from this, MDM also allows you to manage the functionalities and capabilities of the app by uploading an XML configuration file over here. This is possible only if it has been provisioned by the app developer. Now click on Save and select OK. Once you do this, the app gets added to the app repository. As you can see, the Zoho Creator app has been added to the app repository of the MDM server. Now to distribute this app to devices, click on the Groups and Devices option, move over to the Devices tab, select the device to which you want to distribute this app, click on Action, select Distribute Apps. Now you get a list of all the apps that are available for distribution to this particular device. If in case there are a lot of apps over here, you can identify your app by filtering out using the filter options given over here. You can filter out the apps based on the app type, the license type, and the category to which the app belongs to. You also have the search option over here to identify your apps quickly. Select the Zoho Creator app and move over to the distribution options. Since this is a manual app distribution option, select the option Add to App Catalog. This ensures that the app is automatically distributed to the MDM app's app catalog on the end user's device. You also have another option wherein you can choose to install apps automatically. I will explain to you later on in this training as to how you can go about doing that. Now click on Select, and the app is distributed to the app catalog of the MDM app in the end user's devices. Now let's see how it works on the end user's device. The end users need to open the ManageEngine MDM app and click on App Catalog. And under the Yet to Install tab, they will find a list of all the apps that have been distributed to the device and are yet to be installed. Upon clicking the Install button, they will be asked to verify themselves by entering the iTunes credentials. Upon successful verification, the app installation process begins and the app gets installed successfully. Once the app is installed, the app will move from under the Yet to Install tab of the app catalog to the Install tab. Now this was the manual app installation process. In manual app installation, every device must be provisioned with an iTunes account. Also, the end user needs to intervene to ensure that the app installation process is completed. But what if your end users are non-technical? This can become a little tedious for them. And also, what if you need to distribute apps to multiple devices in your organization? You can tackle both of these scenarios by choosing to automate the app installation process. MDM provides you with a couple of options to automate your app installation. In case of iOS devices, you have the volume purchase program, and in case of Android devices, you can use the Play for Work program. Now, both of these programs are free of cost. Apart from just automating the app installation process, there are a few other benefits of configuring VPP and Play for Work. You can build your own enterprise app repository containing only your IT-approved apps, which include both your store apps as well as your in-house apps. You can also control app updates and restrict users from installing any other apps from the store. Let's take a closer look at the Apple Volume Purchase Program. With the help of the iOS Volume Purchase Program, you can now whitelist and approve only those apps that are required by your organization. You can also manage apps with licenses that can be applied to devices and revoked as per your requirement. And as discussed earlier, you can also control your app updates. Before you go ahead and set up the volume purchase program, here are a couple of prerequisites that need to be met. You can create an account with Apple VPP and ensure that the iOS devices are supervised. To ensure that these devices are supervised, you need to enroll these devices using the Apple Configurator method or the Apple DEP method as explained in the previous training session. So this is how volume purchase program works. You need to integrate the VPP portal with your MDM server, then approve apps on the VPP portal, and then distribute these apps to the devices. Once all of these actions have been performed by the admin, the apps get installed silently on the devices. Now let us first see how you can integrate VPP with your MDM server. To do that, log into your VPP portal, and here you can choose to whitelist apps for education or for business purposes. Let's choose for business in this example. And then click on organizational details and select account summary. Here, you will find a VPP token which needs to be downloaded and then uploaded onto the MDM server. So download the VPP token and go back to your MDM server. Now, since the VPP has already been configured in this setup, I will show it to you in another setup. So click on App Repository under Device Management and select iOS VPP distribution. Click on Configure Now and select the Upload option over here. Now, choose a VPP token that you've just downloaded. And the app installation type needs to be chosen as without Apple ID. This ensures that the apps get installed silently on the end user's device. Now, this VPP token is valid only for 1 year, after which it expires. To get timely notifications regarding the VPP renewal process, please enter the email ID of the person who is in charge of the renewal. Once you've done all of this, you can go ahead and click on Save. You can check out the configuration details over here by clicking on App Repository and selecting iOS VPP distribution. Once you've confirmed this, you can now move over to the VPP portal and start whitelisting apps for your organization. So go back to your VPP portal and on the search bar, enter the name of the app that you want to approve, which in this case is going to be Zoho CRM, and click on the search option. Now select Zoho CRM from the search listings given below. Before you go ahead and approve this app, you need to ensure that this app is device assignable. To do that, scroll down and you will find the device assignable option over here. This ensures that the app is silently installed on the end user's device and also gives you control over the app updates. Once you've confirmed this, you can scroll back up and find the number 12 licenses in this case. Click on Review Order and Place Order. As you can see, your order is now complete. Now, the MDM server automatically syncs with the VPP portal once every 24 hours, and it is then that the apps that have been purchased on the VPP portal get added to the MDM server's app repository. However, if you want these apps to be reflected immediately on the MDM server's app repository, you need to choose the manual sync option. To do that, go back to your MDM server and click on App Repository under Device Management. Click on the Sync Apps dropdown and select Sync VPP Apps. As you can see over here, the apps that have been purchased on the VPP portal are being added to the app repository of the MDM server. If in case you are unable to find any of the apps in the app repository, even after having purchased them on the VPP portal, you need to check the last sync time over here. If in case the last sync time was before you made the purchase, you need to manually sync as explained right now. Now click on App Repository and select the app that you just purchased, which in this case is Zoho CRM. And you will find all the details such as the number of licenses purchased, the number of licenses available, the devices to which it has been distributed to. Now, in order to distribute this app to multiple devices in your organization, click on Groups and Devices. Select Devices. And if in case you want to distribute this app to all the iOS devices in your organization, you can filter out the iOS devices by clicking on Platform and choosing iOS. Select all the devices, click on the Actions tab, select Distribute Apps, and choose Zoho CRM from the list of apps available. Now under the distribution option, be sure to select Install App automatically. This ensures that the apps get installed silently on the end user's devices. Click on Select. Now let's see what happens on the end user's device. As you can see, the app installation process is initiated automatically without any need of any intervention from the end user. The app also gets installed successfully. Now, as far as the app distribution process goes, here are a couple of recommendations that you need to pay close attention to. The device needs to be connected to the internet for app distribution to work. If in case there is no network connectivity, then the app will get distributed to the device only once the device comes back online. Also, Apple recommends that you distribute apps over 100 MB only when the device is connected to the Wi-Fi. If in case the device is not connected to the Wi-Fi, then this process will eat into the end user's data plan, which is not an ideal situation for you to be in. So how can you control your app updates? As you are aware, every app gets frequent updates, and under normal circumstances, the App Store will directly notify the end user's device regarding any such updates. In some cases, the latest version of the app might have a few bugs that will cause the app to function in a way in which you hadn't originally intended it to. You can now tackle such a scenario using MDM, wherein you can ensure that you can control which version of the app needs to remain on the end user's device. Before you go ahead and do that, here are a few prerequisites that need to be met. The app should be purchased via VPP and should be device assignable. This ensures that the app is assigned to the end user's device as opposed to the iTunes account. What it means is that the App Store will not be able to contact the end user's device regarding any updates. This puts the onus on the admin to ensure that the critical app updates are installed on the end user's devices. Let us see how this can be done using MDM. Go back to your MDM server and click on App Repository. Now, the MDM server contacts the App Store regularly to check whether there are any updates available for any of the apps on the app repository. If in case there are updates, there will be a notification displayed over here as seen. Click on the notification and you will get a list of all the apps that have updates. Select the app that needs to be updated. And over here, you will find details such as the devices to which the app has already been distributed to and the devices to which the updates are yet to be distributed. Click on the Update All option. Now, before you go ahead and update all the devices with the latest version of the app, it is recommended that you try out this app on a single device. And if you're satisfied with the performance of this app on that device, you can go ahead and update all the devices in your organization. Now, under the Update settings, click on the option Install App Update Automatically. This ensures that the app gets updated silently on the end user's devices. This brings us to the end of the iOS volume purchase program. Let us see how Google Play for Work functions and how you can automate the app installation process in case of Android devices. Similar to VPP, there are a few prerequisites for Play for Work as well. First, you need to create an account with Google Play for Work, and then you need to ensure that the devices must be running Android 5.0 or later versions. Here's how Play for Work functions. You need to integrate Play for Work with the MDM server, approve apps in Play for Work, and distribute apps to the devices. Once all of these actions have been performed by the admin, the apps get installed silently on the devices. To first integrate the Play for Work portal with your MDM server, go back to your MDM server and click on the Admin tab. Now select Configure AFW. And as you can see over here, you can choose to configure AFW using either the G Suite account of your corporate or using any Google account. For this example, let's go ahead and use a particular Google account. Once you click on this option, you will be directed to the Play for Work portal, where you need to sign in with your Google account credentials. Once this is done, you need to enter the name of your organization and ensure that the EMM provider is listed as ManageEngine EMM. Click on Confirm and complete the registration. I'll show you how it looks once the configuration is complete. So I've had this configured on my setup already. Go back to your app repository and click on Android for Work. Now that you've confirmed this, you can start approving apps on your Play for Work portal. So log into your Play for Work and on your search bar, enter the name of the app that you want to whitelist, which in this case is going to be the Android version of Zoho CRM. Click on Search And from the search listings given below, select the Zoho CRM app. Now approve this app and accept all the permissions on behalf of your organization. Click on Approve. Now, similar to the VPP portal, your MDM server connects with your Play for Work portal and automatically syncs all the apps onto the MDM server's app repository once every 24 hours. If in case you want this to be reflected immediately, click on App Repository, select Sync Apps, and choose Sync Play Store Apps. As you can see, all the apps that have been purchased on the Play for Work portal get automatically added to the MDM server's app repository. Now move over to the app that you've just purchased, Zoho CRM. And here you will have the Permissions tab. Now click on Modify, and you can modify app permissions to restrict the app from accessing the following device resources. Once you're done modifying this, click on Save, and the end user will have no option to go ahead and change this. To distribute this app to all the Android devices in your organization, click on Groups and Devices. Now you can choose to either distribute this app to a particular group or to multiple devices in your organization. Now to associate this app to a particular group, select the group, which in this case is going to be Customer Relations. Click on the Actions tab and select the Distribute Apps option. Now select Zoho CRM, and under the distribution option, choose your option Install App Automatically. Click on Select. Now the Zoho CRM app gets associated to all the devices under this particular group automatically. Let's see what happens on the end user's device. The end user will get a notification from MDM stating that their work account has been added. Once this appears, the app installation begins automatically and the app gets successfully installed. Once the app is successfully installed, open the app and view the app permissions. As you can see, these are the permissions that were configured earlier, and there is no option for the end user to make any changes to these permissions. What if you also have in-house apps? Do you need a VPP or Play for Work account for silent installation? No. If in case you have in-house apps, there is no need for a VPP or a Play for Work account. Instead, you need to ensure that these prerequisites are met. For iOS, the devices must be supervised, and for Android, the devices must either be provisioned as a device owner or must be Samsung devices. Now let us see how you can install and manage enterprise apps using MDM. Go back to your MDM server, select Device Management, and click on Add App Repository. Select the Add App option, and for this example, let's choose to add an Android enterprise app. Now the first thing that you need to do is to upload a source APK file. I'll be doing just that. Now once the source APK file is uploaded, you can see that the bundle identifier and the app version is automatically filled. Enter the name of the app, which in this case is Z Delivery. Specify the category to which the app belongs to, and also the devices that support this particular app. Once you've done all of this, click on Save, and the app will get added to the app repository. Now, as you can see over here, the Z Delivery app is added to the app repository of the MDM server. If in case you want to modify or update this app, select this app, and under the Actions tab, click on the Modify App option. Now remove the old source APK file and upload the latest version. You can see once the source APK file has been uploaded, the app version changes from 1.0 to 2.0. Now save this app and click OK. You can now distribute this app to any number of devices in your organization in the same manner as explained earlier. So how can you lock your corporate devices to specific apps? With the help of the kiosk mode feature in MDM, you can now provision corporate devices with either a single app or multiple apps. You can also configure device settings to ensure that the end user does not get to change them later on. Consider the following scenario where your organization has a logistics wing, and in the logistics wing, there is a supervisor and multiple drivers. The supervisor needs one app to keep track of all the logistics bookings, and the drivers need two apps. One, to choose the bookings applicable to them, and two, an app to navigate accurately to the required destination. Let us see how you can configure kiosk mode for both of these devices. Go back to your MDM server and under Device Management, select Profiles. Now create a profile, and for this example, let's choose to create an Android profile. Give a meaningful name to the profile and click on Continue. Over here on the left, you will find a list of all the profiles that are provided by ManageEngine's Mobile Device Manager Plus. Select Kiosk Mode. Now let's see how you can first configure kiosk mode for your supervisor's device. Since your supervisor requires just one app, select the single app option and enter the name of the app that is required by him. In this case, it is going to be Z Delivery. Once you've selected the app, here are a few device restrictions that you can configure. You can either choose to allow or restrict Task Manager, Status Bar, and the following buttons. Once you've configured this profile, you can click on Save and go ahead and do it. Let's also see how you can configure the kiosk profile for the driver's device. Now, since the driver requires two apps, select the multiple apps option over here and enter the names of the apps that are required by the driver. The driver will also require the Z Delivery app, and apart from this, the driver would require the Google Maps app as well. Now, by default, the wallpaper displayed on the driver's device is going to be that of ManageEngine MDM, but you can choose to change this wallpaper by uploading a file over here. You can also choose whether you want to show the MDM app or not. And apart from the usual device restrictions, there are a few custom settings which you can configure. You can either restrict or allow access to the user to configure the following Wi-Fi, flashlight, brightness, and screen rotation settings. Once you've configured all of these information, click on Save and publish the profile. Now, to associate this profile to a particular group or a device, click on Groups and Devices. Now, if in case you want to associate the kiosk profile to the drivers group, click on the group, select the Actions tab, and click on Associate Profile. Select the profile that you want to associate to this particular group and click on Select. Now, as you can see, this profile is associated to all the devices that come under the drivers group. Let us see how it works on the respective supervisor and the driver's devices. In case of the supervisor's device, the device gets locked to just the Z Delivery app, and the supervisor has no option to navigate anywhere out of this app. And in case of the driver's device, the driver will have access to just the Z Delivery app and the Google Maps app, and there is no option for him to navigate out of this screen. Now, what if the supervisor needs to know all the locations traversed by the driver over a period of time? With the help of the geo-tracking feature in MDM, you can now track all the locations of your vehicles on which the device is placed. Go back to your MDM server and click on Inventory. Now select geo-tracking. Over here, you can choose to either track the devices always or only when they are marked as lost. I will explain to you later on in this training as to how you can mark a device as lost. Next, you can choose to apply geo-tracking for all the devices in your organization or just to specific groups. Now, since in this example, you want to track only the locations of the drivers, click on the Selected Groups option and browse for the drivers group. Select the group and click on Select. Now, you can choose to configure location history and also ensure that you can choose the accuracy to which the location history can be mapped. For this example, I'll be choosing 500 meters. What it means is that every time the device moves 500 meters, the location is recorded. Saving location over shorter distances may affect the performance of the battery. Now click on Save Changes. Now, if in case you want to look at the current location of all the devices under management, select Location Data. As you can see over here, all the devices that are currently under management will be displayed over here. And if in case you want to drill down to finer details and see as to how many locations that have been traversed by a particular driver's device, click on the devices option and select the device that you want to track. Now select the geo-tracking option and MDM would contact your driver's device to get the current location. The same will also be displayed on a map over here. Now since your supervisor requires the list of all the locations traversed by your driver, click on the location history option. And as you can see over here, the location history can be viewed from October 29th till November 2nd. You can choose on a particular date to view the locations traversed by the driver on that particular day. Now you can share these details with your supervisor by choosing to export this data as a CSV file. To do that, click on the option over here. Now what if there is an issue on the kiosk device? The issue could be as simple as poor battery performance. Now you need to fix this because your driver is a non-technical person who doesn't understand technology very well. With the help of the remote control feature in MDM, you can now troubleshoot your devices from remote locations. To do that, go back to your MDM server and under Inventory, click on Devices. Select the device that you want to troubleshoot and under the Actions tab, click on Remote Control. Once this is done, the end user will get a prompt on his device asking him to give permission to set up a remote session. Once the permission has been given by the end user, MDM would set up a remote support session. Now MDM leverages Zoho Assist at the backend to ensure that this support session is established successfully. Zoho Assist is a free software that is provided free of cost along with MDM. Once a session has been established, you can view the driver screen clearly on your laptop. Now, the first thing that you need to do is to ensure that the kiosk profile is removed from the device. To do that, scroll over to the space over here and rapidly click 4 times. Once this is done, you will be prompted to enter a password to exit the kiosk mode. Type in the password and click on OK. Once this is done, the kiosk mode will be temporarily disabled from your end user's device. Now click on Applications and select the Settings tab. Over here, you can view the battery configurations. Now you can view all the processes and the apps that are eating into your battery's performance. Once you've troubleshooted this issue, go back to Home, click on the MDM icon on top, and select the option Enter Kiosk Mode. Once this is done, the kiosk profile will once again be enabled on your end user's device. Now you can choose to terminate the session. Next up on the agenda is content management. With the help of content management in MDM, you can easily and securely distribute your updated corporate documents to multiple devices in your organization. You can also provision role-based access to ensure that the right documents are distributed to the right devices. Once these documents have been distributed to the devices, the end users will be able to view and store these documents only with the help of the MDM app. Apart from this, you can also prevent unauthorized data sharing on third-party cloud services. Now consider the following scenario, where your sales team needs access to confidential documents prior to an important client meeting. Let us see how this can be achieved using your MDM server. Go back to your MDM server, click on Device Management, and select Content Management. Now this is your content repository. To add a new document to the content repository, click on the Add option over here, and you will find a list of file formats that are supported by MDM. You also need to ensure that the maximum file size of the document that you're trying to add to the content repository does not exceed 50 MB. Click over here, select the document that you want to add to the content repository, and it's recommended that you also add relevant tags to ensure that this document is grouped according to the relevant departments. Click on Done, and the document gets added automatically to the content repository. Now to distribute this document to your end users' devices, select the document and click on Share. Since it was a sales department that wanted access to this particular document, click on the Sales Department under the Groups tab and choose Select. Now this document will be made available to all the end users' devices that were present under the Sales Department's group. Let us see how your end users can now access this document from their device. So your end users need to open the ManageEngine app and click on the Documents tab. In order to view the document first needs to be downloaded, and then it can be viewed offline as well using the ManageEngine app. But what if there are a few changes to the terms and conditions in the document that was just distributed? How do you update the document on the end user's device? To do that, go back to your MDM server and select the document that needs to be updated. Now under the Actions tab, click on the Modify button. Here, you need to remove the old document and upload the latest version of this document. Once this is done, select Modify and click OK. Now, the same document is also updated in all the end users' devices automatically. If this document is now deleted from the content repository, then this document will also be removed from the end users' devices. How can you protect against data breaches and ensure compliance? Let's look at a few scenarios where your corporate data can be breached and how MDM can help you tackle such scenarios. Consider scenario 1, where your unmanaged devices get to access your corporate emails through your Exchange server. This is not an ideal situation for your organization to be in. So with the help of the MDM server, you can now set up the conditional exchange access. With the help of conditional exchange access, you can ensure that only your managed devices get access to your Exchange server, whereas your unmanaged devices are completely restricted. Here are a few prerequisites for setting up conditional exchange access. You need to ensure that the Active Directory is configured and that self-enrollment is enabled on your MDM server. Apart from this, you also need to enable basic authentication in the machine that is running Exchange server. Now, this is applicable only if you're running Windows Server 2010. To enable basic authentication, go to your machine that is running the Exchange server and open the Internet Information Services Manager. Click on Sites, select Default Website, choose PowerShell, and select Authentication. Once this is done, click on Basic Authentication and select Enable. Now that you've seen all of the prerequisites, let's see how conditional exchange access works. You need to first integrate the Exchange with your MDM server and then set up and enforce a conditional exchange access policy. Once all of these actions have been performed by the admin, only those devices that are enrolled with MDM get to access Exchange. So let's see how you can integrate Exchange with your MDM server. To do that, go back to your MDM server and click on Conditional Exchange Access under Device Management. As you can see over here, you can either choose to configure Office 365 or Exchange on-premises. For this example, let's configure Office 365. Now enter the credentials of your server over here and click on Next. Once this is done, you will get a list of all the devices that are currently accessing your Exchange server. These include those devices that are not enrolled with MDM and are still accessing your Exchange. Once you've had this information, the next step for you is to restrict these devices. To do that, you need to set up a conditional exchange access policy. Click on the Configure Now button, and here you can choose to either restrict all the devices that are not enrolled with MDM or specific devices not enrolled with MDM. Also, you can choose to allow users a few days as grace periods before which they need to enroll their devices. For an admin to enroll all of these devices by themselves is going to be a tedious process. Instead, when you click on Apply Policy, an email will be sent from MDM requesting users to enroll their devices by themselves using the self-enrollment option. Click on Apply Policy, and the Conditional Exchange Access Policy gets configured successfully. So what happens after this policy is applied? Now, when the device tries to access your Exchange server, MDM will check to see if it is a managed or an unmanaged device. If in case it is a managed device, then it gets complete access to the Exchange server. However, if it is an unmanaged device, then MDM will check to see if it is an existing device that was already accessing the Exchange even before the policy was applied. If it is not an existing device, then the default access level set will be applied to it. However, if it is an existing device and if a grace period has been provided, then it will have access to the Exchange server during this grace period. Once the grace period is over, and if the device is yet to be enrolled into the MDM server, then the access to Exchange is denied. Now, this is how it looks once the conditional Exchange access has been enabled. As you can see over here, you get information regarding all the devices in grace period, the devices that have been restricted access, and the devices that have been granted access to your Exchange server. You can get granular details by clicking on any of these devices over here. Now let's look at a few other scenarios in which your data can be breached. Your data can be breached when there is unauthorized sharing of data between your managed corporate apps as well as your unmanaged personal apps. Data can also be breached through unauthorized sharing of corporate data between your managed and your unmanaged devices through Wi-Fi, AirDrop, or Bluetooth. Your corporate data can also get breached when it gets backed up to third-party cloud services such as Drive and Dropbox. Now, the answer to all of this is containerization. Containerization is nothing but the isolation of personal and corporate workspace on your end users' devices. In case of Android devices, once your device is enrolled, a container is created and your corporate apps are denoted by a small briefcase symbol as seen over here. In case of iOS devices, Apple does not permit the creation of such a container. So what happens is that when you try to access your corporate email attachment, you can see that it can be viewed using both your personal apps as well as your corporate apps. This is not an ideal situation for you to be in. Now, with the help of MDM, you can create a container even on iOS devices. To do that, go back to your MDM server and under Device Management, select Profiles. Now, click on Create Profile and create an iOS profile. Give a meaningful name to it and click on Continue. Now select Restrictions, and the first thing that you need to restrict under device functionality is screenshots and screen recording, because this is the easiest way in which your data can be transferred. Next, restrict AirDrop. Move over to Security, the sharing of data from managed apps to unmanaged apps. It is also recommended that you restrict the sharing of data from unmanaged apps to managed apps as well. Click on Advanced Security and restrict iTunes pairing and USB connections. Once this is done, click on Network and Roaming and restrict users from accessing Bluetooth. Now click on Save, publish this profile, and distribute this profile to any number of iOS devices in your organization as explained earlier. Now, once this profile has been applied on your device, you can see that your corporate email attachments can now be viewed only with the help of your corporate apps or your MDM app. The benefit of viewing your corporate email attachments through your MDM app is that the data does not get backed up to third-party cloud services. Let's move on to our next segment, which is securing devices. Now, what if your end user has either misplaced or lost your corporate device? Let's look at a few device protection policies provided by MDM that come in handy in such a scenario. Go back to your MDM server, click on Inventory, select Devices. Now choose a device that has been misplaced. Enable lost mode. This ensures that your device is locked to just one screen, and you can configure a message that can be displayed on this device. You can also display a contact number and have a calling app option programmed to contact this particular number. Click on Next. Now, if in case someone comes across this device and he has the passcode already set on this device, then you need to ensure that you configure a new passcode. You can do that by entering the new passcode over here and also sending the passcode to your end user's email ID. Now, your end user has raised a request stating that his device has been lost and the ticket ID would have been generated. Now, mention the ticket ID over here and specify the reason for tracking the end user's device. Once you've done all of this, click on Locate and the lost mode gets enabled. Let's see what happens on the device once the lost mode gets enabled. As you can see over here, the device gets logged to just one screen with a message stating that the device has been lost and that it needs to be returned to the owner. A calling option has also been provided and configured to contact this particular number. But what if, even after a few days, you are unable to retrieve your device? This means that your device has been lost forever and you need to ensure that your corporate data on it is safe. To do that, go back to the device, click on the Actions tab, and in case it is a corporate-owned device, choose the option Complete Wipe. This ensures that the device is restored to factory settings, and if in case the device is owned by your end user, choose the Corporate Wipe option. This ensures that the corporate data on your end user's device is completely wiped. Let's move on to the next segment where we will see a few scenarios and the solutions. Now, what if your organization has provided full internet access and no restrictions on any web resources to the employees? How can you restrict specific websites without affecting the usual internet activity? To do that, server, click on Device Management and select Profiles. Create a profile, and in this case, let's create an iOS profile. Give a meaningful name to your profile and click on Continue. Now, select Web Content Filter, and since you want to restrict a few specific URLs, select the blacklist option and enter the URL over here, which in this case is going to be youtube.com. Once you've done this, click on Save, publish the profile, and distribute it to any number of devices in your organization. Now, what if in your organization, you want to ensure that only a few corporate URLs can be accessed? To do that, click on the whitelist option and enter your corporate URL over here. Once this is done, you can click on Save, publish the profile, and distribute to any number of devices as explained earlier. Let's look at the next scenario, where your workforce is extensively mobile only and you want to secure the device with certificates. Can this be done using Mobile Device Manager Plus? Yes, it can. I'll explain to you how you can go about doing it using the same profile as earlier. If in case you want to ensure that all the devices in your organization are secured with the same certificate, click on the certificate option over here and upload a certificate. Now, if you're satisfied with this certificate, you can click on Save, publish, and distribute this profile to any number of devices. However, if in case you want to ensure that every device in your organization is secured with a unique certificate, you need to integrate with the CA server. And to do that, click on SEP and enter the details that are required over here. Once you've done that, click on Save, publish, and distribute this profile to any number of devices in your organization. Now, the next scenario, if in case your enterprise network bandwidth gets affected when several employees try to update their OS simultaneously, how can you prevent this in case of Android devices? To do this, you need to create an Android profile. Click on Profile, select Create Profile, and create an Android profile. Click on Continue and select Restrictions. Now, under Device Functionality, you'll find an option where you can restrict your OS upgrade. Once you've restricted this, as always, save, publish, and distribute this profile to multiple devices. Now, if you want to ensure that all the network communication taking place on your device is routed through a secure proxy, you can do that by going back to your MDM server, creating an Android profile. I'll be using the same profile again. Click on Global HTTP Proxy, and here you can choose to configure your proxy server details. Once you've done this, click on Save, Publish, and distribute this profile to all your devices. Once this profile has been applied to your end user's device, any network communication that happens on that device will be routed through this particular server. Now let's look at a few questions that have come up during the course of this training session. We are a logistics company and we provide devices to our drivers for tracking purposes. Is there a way by which the users cannot disable the location services and it is always enabled? To do that, again, let's see that in the same profile. Click on restrictions and go to location services. Now, over here, you can choose to ensure that your GPS services are always on the end user's devices. Save, publish, and distribute this profile. Move over to the next question. Is it possible to prevent copying text from emails? Yes, this can be done. Now, click on restrictions again. And for the first thing that you need to do under device functionality is to restrict screen capture. Once this is done, click on security and restrict clipboard. As always, save, publish, and distribute this profile. Now, I want to ensure that employee devices are connected to only those secure Wi-Fi networks distributed via MDM. Can this be achieved? Yes, it can. So again, click on restrictions and select network and roaming. Now, as you can see over here, you have an option where you can restrict and ensure that the devices get connected to only those Wi-Fi profiles that have been distributed via MDM. Click on yes and OK. Now save, publish, and distribute this profile. Can I restrict the users from installing the IT approved apps that were installed using MDM? Yes, you can. Go back to restrictions. Click on applications. Now, as you can see over here, you have an option where you can restrict users from uninstalling apps. You also have an option where you can restrict users from installing any apps on their devices. And apart from this, you can also restrict the user's access to Play Store. Click on Save, publish the profile, and distribute it to any number of devices in your organization. Now, can I remove apps that were previously available on the devices? These are the apps that were not installed using MDM. To do that, click on Inventory and select Apps. Here you will find a list of all the apps that are available in your IT organization. Now you can also filter out these apps based on the platform type. Now choose the app that you want to blacklist and click on the Mark as Blacklist option. And as you can see over here, these are the actions that will be performed on the corresponding devices. Click on OK and the app gets blacklisted. This brings us to the end of this training session. Once you exit your webinar screen, you will have a survey that will be sent out to you. Kindly rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, where 5 is the best. If in case you found this training useful, please spread the word on the various social media channels. The next training schedule has been scheduled on December 7th and December 14th at 11:30 EDT. Thank you.